My daughter's 3.5, and she's already like stood up on the board and started skating like by herself.
Nice.
And then my son, like he can ollie and stuff, and he usually rides his BMX bike.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Life of Dad Show. Here in the Life of Dad Show, we talk with athletes, actors, entrepreneurs, CEOs, musicians, entertainers who've all made a name for themselves, but the one thing that is most important to them is being a dad. For this week's episode of the Life of Dad Show Rewind, I'm sharing my interview I did with Chris Cole. It was episode 70 here at the Life of Dad Show. Of course, we're now in the 400, so I thought it'd be a perfect time to go back to the time that I talked to one of the skating legends in the industry, Chris Cole. You're going to love his take on fatherhood and also love the stories he shares with me. So let's get into it. Here's my interview with Chris Cole. Hey everybody, it's Art Eddy, and on the line I'm happy to have skateboard pro Chris Cole. Thanks for taking the time, Chris. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing well. A lot of stuff to talk to. I want to talk about your sneakers because I'm a sneakerhead.
Ooh.
One of the first things I want to talk about is your professional skateboarder. And when you were growing up, I mean, kids, I always wanted to be a football player. That never happened for me, obviously, but
Yeah, me too.
nice. But for you, man, when did you start wanting to make skateboarding your profession?
It's funny because when I started, I didn't know that it could be a profession.
Okay.
I mean, some people were pros, and I'd seen them in magazines, and it was so far out of my reach at that time. And there were only a handful of pros. It wasn't like today where there's hundreds of pros. I would look at magazines, and it wasn't until I was looking at different colleges that I started to. I realized I wasn't going to college.
Okay.
I'm sitting there looking at like Savannah School of Art.
Yeah.
And I was like, I remember that moment where I was like, wait a minute, like I'm not actively filling out any sort of applications, and I'm not like I haven't graduated yet. I was probably about 15 or 16, and I was like, I'm going to finish high school because I spent all this time in high school. And to go without a high school diploma, I just thought that it was like so wasteful to sit in school for so long, so many years, and then drop out a year or two before I got that diploma. And so I stuck it out. I didn't have any like dire reason to leave anyway. So I stuck it out knowing that skateboarding was my future by that point.
Nice, man. I mean, it's a cool story, but at the time, your parents must have been tripping a little bit, right?
What's cool is my mom, she worked as a nurse her whole life, and in like the ICU too. So, I mean, it was like she saw the kids that skateboarded and got hit by cars and the kids that hit their heads and,
Wow.
Terrible stuff. She did it for my brother and I and to make ends meet for our family. And she worked terrible hours and she worked all the time. And she wished that she had a life of just riding horses and dealing with horses, and that's what she wanted to do. So when I, kind of came to the table with what I wanted to do, she was like, you know what, do what makes you happy.
Nice.
I've been doing this, and I want the best for you. You do what makes you happy. And so she never sweated me, like, going out and filling out applications for colleges and getting a job. I was just, be happy was number one rule.
Nice. I love that story, man, because you'd think a lot of people like have the whole tradition, like, you're not doing that, but I mean, it's cool that you had your mom in your corner. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, thank God.
Nice. Do you remember like your first trick performance you nailed down?
Oh man, I remember when I was skating alone for years because I got the bug of like the first time I stepped on a skateboard, it consumed my thoughts and it consumed everything that I was, and I never stopped skating like every single day when I stepped on a board, but I didn't have anyone around other than the guy who taught me how to ollie.
Okay.
And he taught me how to ollie, and that was it. And then I skated alone out front of my house. And so when I started doing tricks myself, a lot of them I thought that I made up. And so there's a pop shove it, which is, basically a 180, but your body doesn't turn 180. You just pop the board, it turns 180, and then you land on it again.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was like telling my friend, it's like a 180, but you don't turn your body. And then I would do board slides on the curb, but I'd ollie and turn 180 into a board slide instead of just a normal board slide, which is called a lip slide. But I thought I made it up. And so I was, so, I mean, out of all those things, though, the first kickflip I ever did was over a Campbell's soup can.
Nice.
And I did it totally wrong. Like, my foot placement was completely wrong because this dude showed me how to do it, who was, like, visiting, probably had, like, divorced parents and was with his dad for the weekend.
Yeah.
And he showed me the completely wrong foot placement. And I did it like that. And then throughout the next, like, week, I realized, like, well, I'm putting pressure here. And I broke it down in my head, like, quickly.
Nice.
Like, I'm putting pressure here. I don't need my foot angled like that because I can put my foot like this and it'll do the same thing.
I love that story, man. You know, it's cool because you get those certain things about when you talk to an athlete the first time they picked up a baseball or whatever. But this is great. I appreciate you kind of taking down memory lane. And when you finally had that moment, what was it for you in your mind when you're like, "Yep, I made it in the skateboarding world"?
Man, that's a good question because you're always achieving a little bit more.
Sure.
It's like you getting your first published piece, but if that's not like a full job. So then you look for getting a job, you know, publishing pieces.
Yeah.
And interviewing for a living. And so I did a couple of video parts for different videos. Each one was like a little bit of a milestone, and I didn't really feel like I fully made it. And you don't really feel like you fully make it until, I think, about a year after like a monumental video part, when kids start coming up to you telling you that you're the reason why they skate. Like, I saw your part and I started skateboarding, and that's usually the moment. You know, that's the moment where you realize, like, through my love for this sport and what I've done and sacrificed to be really good at it, I've done exactly what I wanted to do with my talent, which is inspire others and make them want to go out and do it for themselves. And that's all you wanted in the first place, is like, you want to kind of pay it forward. Like, these people inspired me. I picked up a skateboard. Now, if I can inspire others to pick up a skateboard and enrich their lives like that, then the world's a better place.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, that must have been like cloud nine moment when someone comes up to you. It's like, I got into this because of you. So that's phenomenal, dude.
It's a trip. And like, when they come up and you see their clothing style is definitively changed or definitively derived from what your look was in that one video.
Yeah.
You're like, I changed this dude's life, you know, and thank God that it's me, because there are so many terrible individuals out there in the position that I'm in, you know, the position to influence other people. And they are not good enough to influence these people as human beings themselves. And like, not that I have everything worked out and I'm the best dude on earth, but I am exactly what you're getting right now. I'm exactly who you see, because I find it so much easier to be myself and to be true. I don't have to keep up any sort of act. This is me. And then the people that like me or are fans of me are people that I would want to be fans of me because they're like me. So it works out 100%.
Totally agree on that. And especially too, like, kind of go back to the whole Charles Barkley thing. I'm not a role model and all that. But that commercial, I think, with Nike. But for you, there was, you know, just for someone to come up to you and be in that, you know, got inspired by you and wanted to skateboard because of you, and to come up to me and be like, you know what, you inspired me to do this, and then all of a sudden to see for who you are, like you said, you're being real right now, like in this interview and all that, but you're real to these kids, and they see, like, you know what, I met my hero. I met Chris, and he was awesome, and they're gonna take so much from that. So it's so cool that you're like that, man.
Well, thank you. I mean, it really does change the whole perspective of skateboarding in that kid's eyes. And I met my favorite skater in Philadelphia when I was a kid. His name was Matt Reason, and I met him at Love Park the first time I went to Love Park. And I was 11 years old, and I sat there, and I sat next to him, and I just asked him questions because I was like stoked that I was there, and this dude was like, this core Philly skater. He was super cool, and I just asked him questions like that annoying 11-year-old, and and he just sat there and answered all my questions.
Yeah.
He didn't. He never cool guyed me or like was like, dude, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
And he was super cool. And I think that was a shaping moment for me, because things would have been different for sure. It would have been a butterfly effect if he were lame to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
But he was cool. He was cool, and so I owe a lot to that interaction.
Excellent. And also too, one of the things just for you giving back to the community is your camp called Chris Cole's Excellent Adventure. You do a great job with the Police Athletic League. Tell our listeners a little bit about what you do there.
What we do is we team up with the Police Athletic League in Philadelphia, and they have a bunch of kids that they work with that love skateboarding, and they just don't have the means. And whether they come from a broken home and don't have the means, or whether they just have two parents that are working as hard as they can but can't make ends meet for their kids, or basically just the things that are plaguing every single town in our country. Basically, these kids, they love skateboarding just like I did, and they don't have enough money to get them to a place like Woodward Skate Camp, which is the greatest place for a skateboarder to go ever. And it's just acres and acres and acres of skate parks in central Pennsylvania. And it's gorgeous out there. It's a place where they would never get to go. And we team up with the Athletic League. We handpick with them and Rain Skate Shop. They pick out a number of kids that they think would really benefit and really appreciate it to go to this camp. And we take them for a weekend out to Woodward Camp. And it's 100% comped by Woodward Skate Camp to have them stay there the weekend. The Police Athletic League shuttles them out there, and then all of my sponsors chip in and give a bunch of product to these kids, and we give them, new skateboards, new shoes, new product, so that they really enjoy their weekend and they have a great time. And what we really want is just kind of make memories. Here's a great moment for you in your life, and I hope you remember it for the rest of your life, because I tell them every year, I'm like, this right now is the best time of your life. You're a teenager. You're young enough that you don't have responsibility, but you're old enough that you have freedom. And this is the best time in your entire life. And you're going to look back on this time, and all of your best memories are going to be from now. And so here's one of them. And I don't think that you can possibly process this like I can, but you're living in that memory right now. Enjoy it.
I agree with you 100%. Congrats and kudos to you for putting on a great show. I mean, just for someone that might not be able to afford this, you're giving them their Disney World, so to speak, of skateboarding.
That's what it is. It is Disney World for skateboarding. And when I was a kid, I used to look at the brochure and imagine skating and all, but I couldn't go. And I never went to Woodward until I was a professional and I was invited to come. So.
Nice. And speaking of sponsors and all that, like I said earlier, I'm a big sneakerhead, and I was taking a look at your DC shoe line, man. It's pretty sick. And how cool is it? I mean, you're a very humble guy from just talking to you right now, but it's pretty cool to have your own sneaker, right, man?
It's incredible. It's incredible to have my own shoe because, like you, I'm a sneakerhead as well. And I'm not nearly as advanced as, the dudes that go to SneakerCon and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I definitely have just a Rolodex in my brain of shoes that have inspired me, shoes that I've loved from skating when I was a kid, shoes that I wish that I could skate as a professional, but they're on other companies, like things like that. They all go into my brain, and then I try to put out the best shoe based on all that knowledge. Every single time I try to put out a shoe that will embody all of these other ones that inspired me. And it's great. It's such a cool position to be in, to be able to help out with the design, and especially when I kind of nitpick things down to like really, like I don't have madness. Like I don't freak out about like these little things, and the shoe, like I don't really like the way the toe cap looks. It looks like it folds over this way, but I do notice certain things. And so for my shoe, specifically in the DC line, the shoe that comes out in March of this coming year is the most advanced shoe that we've done. And it has every technology that DC does in one shoe.
Nice.
And so it has a Unilite, which is like a foam, like most running shoes have been using for years. Skateboarders haven't put it into shoes because it's so a heavily abrasive sport that we haven't thought to use foam. And so we put rubber where it needs to be, and then foam the rest of the sole.
Nice.
And it just makes the shoe so much lighter. And you don't think about like, oh, well, like who cares? You're a skateboarder, your legs are strong, and like the weight's not going to matter. But why not make your shoe light? It doesn't make any sense to make it heavier. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But then like you land really hard, and like you need to have board feel, but you also need to have protection. And so in this shoe, we have two different hardness of Unilite, so that there's the forefoot is soft, a soft Unilite, so you can feel your board. And then in the heel, it has a soft and then a hard, so that you get that cushion, almost like the egg drop experiment that you probably did in high school, where you had to drop an egg off of the stadium and it had to not break. You have to make a cradle. You have to figure out how to make it in a shoebox, cradled up and not break. And that's basically what we're trying to do with your egg of the heel. And don't smash your heel, because as funny as the word heel is, it doesn't heal. They take forever to get better.
I love it, man. Thanks for the insight. That's coming out in March, you said, right?
That is correct.
Nice. Very cool. I'll be on the lookout for that. And one of the other things we like to talk about here at Life of Dad is fatherhood. You're a father of two. Do your kids kind of show any signs of following in your footsteps?
Here and there.
Okay.
They're magnificent kids, and they're really, really smart. And my son wants to be a scientist. My daughter is 3.5, and she's just like super duper smart and really, really charismatic. She has you can tell she's going to be something special. And it's weird to say like my kids are special, because everybody says their kids are special.
Yeah.
I honestly do believe that they have like a special future. So that being said, we do go out to the skate park and ride around a little bit, but both of them have ridden skateboards and are naturally pretty decent at just like, my daughter's 3.5, and she's already like stood up on the board and started skating like by herself.
Nice.
And then my son, like he can ollie and stuff, and he usually rides his BMX bike, but like he'll jump on a board here and there and be able to like skate, even though he doesn't skate.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. I mean, I don't want them to have like the curse of like dad, dad of Brad dad.
Yeah.
So whatever they want to do, I support it, and I'm down. So if they want to ride bikes out at the skate park, I bring my bike and I'll ride with them.
Nice. And that's kind of a cool thing in the sense of my next question, where talking before about how your mom was like, you know what, I see what you want to do. All right, I'm going to stand in your corner and help you out.
Yeah.
What was some of the best advice that you received that you now pass on to your kids?
Every single day when I drop off my son at school, I tell him to study hard and learn law, because that's what my mom said every single day that I went to school.
Yeah.
but we be really, really candid with our kids, and we show them that we're human and we do make mistakes, and some of the mistakes that I've made are procrastinating and putting off working. Like when I was in school, all I wanted to do was skateboard, and I tell my son, like, all I wanted to do was skateboard, and I didn't pay attention, and I would sit and suffer through the fact that I didn't do my homework, and I wouldn't want to do my homework, and I'd just suffer for hours thinking about it, having the anxiety of the fact that I didn't do the homework, and my teacher was going to ask for the homework, and I'd be fearing it all day long, that they were going to ask for the homework, and I was going to have it, what was I going to say, and it'd be hours of it instead of the 20 minutes that it would have taken to just jot down the answers. So I really try to get that through to them too. So it's like, hey, don't put it off. Don't make it this monster.
Yeah.
Just do it, and you'll be so much happier.
But yeah, spoken like a guy who's been there before. I get it too, man. I was always, I have two older sisters, and back in the day, I always see them kind of like stressed out or freak out about their homework. I'd always come home, do my homework first, and then like I learned from their mistakes. I was pretty cool with that. So yeah, totally see it on that one. And last question I have is I don't know, it sounds like you guys have a blast, but is there like one memory that's like the funniest that stick out with you and your kids so far?
We're going to Disney World.
Nice.
Really soon. And so we're in the middle of doing that and packing for that. And we did this big reveal with the kids, and we set up a bunch of GoPro cameras around our yard and stuff.
Yeah.
And had clues, and clues would send them all the way to their magic bands at the end. Nice. And their magic bands, like, basically the new system that Disney has. Yeah. But it was just an awesome memory to, watch them run through each one. My son read it out loud, and then them go to the next one. They've been watching Thundercats a lot lately too, because we give them like all the classics.
Yeah.
And so the funny thing that my daughter just said was that when she was born, her mom was Chitara, and now her mom is her mom. And so my wife is like, what am I, chopped liver? Like, I do all the hard work, and apparently Chitara gets all the credit for it.
Love it. Yeah, for someone who loves the classics like the old school Transformers and Thundercats, man, that's phenomenal. And yeah, we took our daughters for the first time last month, and the key fob or the watch fob system, whatever they have, is ridiculous. And we kind of did the same thing where we videotaped them.
Nice.
My youngest is 3, and we did is because it was kind of around Halloween. We gave them these outfits like one of their favorite princesses. And is this for trick or treating? They're asking us. We're like, well, yeah, but it's also because we're going to Disney. My oldest, who's 5, awesome. She was like jumping up and down. My youngest goes, sure. Can you get this on me? Because she didn't really get the concept of like going to Disney World. We had to actually show her through an iPad, and then she started like, "Are we going tomorrow?" We're like, "No, we're gonna go in a couple of weeks." And she goes, "Oh, okay, cool." So yeah, I love that whole reveal to Disney is something special. So I'm glad you guys did it really proper too, man. Nice. Chris, it's been a pleasure, man. I appreciate you taking the time. We're going to put up links to your website and everything that you're doing, especially for the camp, The Excellent Adventure, man. It's just phenomenal work. And just talking to you, man, you're just so down to earth, and it's really cool for those stories where someone has met you because they got inspired by you. And, just talking to you, man, it's just a breath of fresh air, especially with some people who kind of take being popular or being in limelight way further than it needs to be. And, you're one of the good guys, man. So I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man. That's really kind. But I'm happy that you gave me the opportunity to speak, and I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure, man. Again, make sure you check out Chris Cole. We're going to have links so you can follow him on Twitter and all that. So, again, continued success with everything you're doing. All right, Chris?
Oh, thank you very much. I will do.
All right. Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to the Life of Dad show. You know where to find us, lifeofdad.com, and on Twitter and Facebook.